Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
Good morning, DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God, and Jess Hilarious. How y'all doing? Happy Tuesday.
Good. How was your vacay, girl?
Man, feels good. Feels good to be back. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, that's not so, the news is not so up. So, But first and foremost, let me just say shout out to Bree and Mimi for holding it down. Appreciate y'all. But let's get into it. So the White House is standing on business when it comes to deportations. The Trump administration claims the president is acting within his authority, within the bounds of the law, to carry out deportations. Now, this follows allegations that the Trump administration defied a federal judge, that being U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, his order that blocked the deportation of Venezuelan gang members under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. The White House says Trump did not refuse to comply with the Venezuelan deported were no longer, because they were no longer in the U.S. Territory, while border czar Tom Homan called the judge's order radical for defying logic. Now, recent flight records and a timeline of events show that the two out of the three planes were already out of the country, while the third had not yet departed from Texas when the order was announced, and later when the order was actually written up, because that was a whole nother thing. Like, is it in writing? When it actually was written up, that flight was still on the ground in Texas. So the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt, she addressed the matter, saying in a briefing yesterday, well, here's what she had to say in the press briefing yesterday.
The president is using every lever of his executive authority and his constitutional authority within the bounds of the immigration laws of our country to ensure that our streets are safer for law-abiding American citizens. And as you saw this past weekend, the president used his authority under the Alien Enemies Act to deport foreign terrorists. Tren de Aragua is now a designated foreign terrorist organization.
Yeah, so White House Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy, Stephen Miller, he also defended the deportations and slammed the judge in the process. Let's take a listen to his comments.
He didn't know how much fuel was on those planes. He didn't know how many hours those pilots had flown. He didn't know where they were over international airspace. He didn't know the security conditions on those planes. Either they're allowed to stay here one day longer and threaten and menace innocent American lives, or they leave this country where they cannot threaten and menace innocent American lives.
This is why I want to know more when it comes to the deportations, because deporting illegal immigrants who have committed crimes, I understand that.
Shouldn't be a problem, right? Shouldn't be an issue.
So why are folks fighting about gang members being sent away? Like, there's some other deportation cases I'm sure they could be fighting about, like folks who've been in this country for a long time, not committing no crimes, paying taxes, but have gotten caught up in the process. Those are folks they should be fighting for. Why are they raising hell about a gang being deported?
So the main thing is proof and making sure that the U.S. is getting it right when it comes to deporting criminals, you know, and making sure that they get their due process, that you're actually deporting people who are committing crimes as opposed to just you running down on anybody just because they might be a migrant. So this is a bipartisan matter, as Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar thinks this will discourage more Central Americans from making the trip north into his border district. Of course, you know, he he's on a Texas border town. So this can be a bipartisan matter. So let's hear more from Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar on this matter.
Sending folks back on ICE air, what I call ICE air, has certainly helped. The Trump administration has successfully gotten some of those countries that were not very friendly taking back their folks. I'm glad that the administration has opened up those doors so we can send people back to those countries as soon as possible, especially the criminals.
So the first of these flights touched down over the weekend, marking improved relations between the U.S. and Venezuela. I know in the last administration, we didn't even recognize that they had their election, their recent election, whereas Trump has. They have been stopped in response to a move from President Trump to revoke Texas-based Chevron's license to operate in the country. So things, it seems like with all of this, hopefully relations between the two countries, or even with El Salvador as well, who has said that they would take on some of the deported migrants, that those relations between the countries would get better. So the Trump administration has apparently been carrying out deportations under the centuries-old Alien Enemies Act. The U.S. District Judge, of course, preemptively barred the removal of some migrants under the act for the next 14 days, now 13 days, and he expanded the decision to apply to all non-citizens in U.S. custody. Just to give you some more background on the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, they're calling it centuries old, of course. It was designed to be used when the U.S. is at war or when foreign nations have invaded the U.S. So a court hearing was held yesterday afternoon, and a judge pressed Justice Department lawyer Abhishek Kabali over the order. Now, and Kabali basically responded by saying he's only authorized to talk about what he's talked about in the filing, but claimed that he cannot use these proceedings to interfere with the president's national security and foreign affairs authority, and that the court lacks jurisdiction to do so as well. So another hearing is scheduled for Friday, and we will see what comes of that. But legal experts anticipate a lengthy court battle in regards to deportations and all of this. So You're not wrong, Charlamagne, by saying, hey, we got to get somebody on to talk more about it.
Yeah, I just want some clarity. Like, I would like to know, what were the Biden administration and Obama administration using to deport people, and why wouldn't Trump use that? This is why I need to go on that ride along, because I got questions for ICE, man.
Oh, Lord, not the ride along.
You really want to go on that ride along.
I was going to say, you might not come back, man.
I think the whole thing is due process. I know they asked you. I think it's due process. People want them to have due process, but I'm with you. If they're a gang member and they had warrants and just like, who are we fighting for? Are we fighting for good people? Are we fighting for people that's been paying their taxes? Are we fighting for people that's been here trying to stay here? Are we fighting for gang members?
It doesn't seem like there's much of a fight for anybody. It's just a fight for America first.
That's what I'm saying. I just got questions, you know what I'm saying? Because maybe I'm missing it. They need to explain it the way you explained it, Morgan. Make sure these folks are actual gang members.
Correct.
Make sure they committed actual crimes.
Yes.
I would think ICE would have done that already, but maybe not. I don't know.
So you go on with ICE. Just don't play, because you're the type to be like, Envy live right there. Let's go get him. No.
Yep.
See?
All right,
bye.
That's front page news.
Walking me in the building real quick just to scare him.
Hey, shut up, man. Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open. Call us up right now. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get back in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
Listen, what's up? Well, I don't know if it's up, if it's down, if it's stuck, I don't know what, but the ceasefire in Israel is over, okay? So as Israel hit Gaza with what is being called a series of extensive strikes overnight while we slept, Israeli warplanes carried out airstrikes in the Gaza Strip. Ministry of Health officials have told ABC News that over 130 people have been killed in the widespread attacks so far. It's probably, with those numbers, expected to rise with more than 300 injured. A statement from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the latest military action is a response to Hamas' repeated refusal to release hostages and rejecting peace officers made by mediators. So the airstrike follows a ceasefire of nearly 2 months, during which dozens of Israeli hostages have been exchanged for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. So that situation overseas has the tensions are now tense again.
Well, I'm not the highest grade of weed in the dispensary, but I do know that what I never understand about this situation is, aren't you possibly bombing the hostages too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't make no sense at all.
That is true. Meanwhile, the White House says a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia is close to being done as it's ever been. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says talks are on the 10th yard line of peace, and added that talks with Russia will focus on land. Let's hear more from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Closer to a peace deal than we are in this moment, and the president, as you know, is determined to get one done. The president and his entire national security team have been engaged directly with President Zelensky and the Ukrainian team, and that has been part of the discussion between the president's team and the Ukrainians. As for where those lines will be drawn or any specifics, I am not going to get into that from this podium.
Now, Leavitt also didn't hesitate to blame the Biden administration for its handling of the Ukraine-Russia war. Of course, this comes as Trump is set to hold a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. And on Sunday, Trump said discussions would center on land and power plants. So we will see what comes out of those discussions. Ukraine has already agreed to a U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal. So we waiting on Russia to see what they're going to do. Elsewhere in foreign type affairs, this comes at the same time a French politician is suggesting that the United States return the Statue of Liberty. So Raphael Glucksmann, a member of France's parliament, made the comment at a convention in protest of the federal firings of scientific researchers and Americans siding with tyrants, implying that France owes its freedom, including the ability to speak French, to American military intervention during the war. Now, White House press secretary said the U.S. will absolutely not return the Statue of Liberty. And she also had quite the read for Glucksmann during yesterday's briefing. Let's hear that.
There is now a member of the European Parliament from France who does not think the U.S. represents the values of the Statue of Liberty anymore. They want the Statue of Liberty back. So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
Ooh, Levitt is referencing the critical role the U.S. played in liberating France during World War II, specifically the U.S.-led D-Day invasion on June 6th of 1944, which marked the beginning of the end of the German occupation in France. Now, this operation was pivotal in restoring French sovereignty and preventing the imposition of German as the dominant language and culture. So she marked that response to the French politician in reference to that French politician, Raphael Glucksmann's suggestion that the U.S. should return the Statue of Liberty. What y'all think about that?
I don't like any of this tension. I don't like any of this, global tension. I just don't feel like any of this can end well. I don't like it.
I absolutely agree. Especially with, all that's, it's a lot of tension. And we have to pick, a side. We have allies in this whole ordeal. But switching gears, bringing things back home stateside anyways, guess what drops today? The files related to the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy will be released today. President Trump made the announcement while touring the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., a concert venue that he recently took over as chair. Trump said about 80,000 pages will be released. Let's hear more from President Trump.
While we're here, I thought it would be appropriate. We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact.
They're not going to release any of the good stuff. I'm sure a lot of it will be heavily redacted. For example, if JFK was an inside job, do you think America would admit that? Do you think America would snitch on itself?
I mean, we're trying to root out all the waste, fraud, and abuse, so we might need to do so in order to hit that good old reset button,
Why
right?
would he do that?
I think Trump would do that. I think Trump would put all that out. I think he'll put it out on John F. Kennedy. I think he'll put it on Martin Luther King Jr. I think he'll put all that paperwork
I think
out.
you don't know Donald Trump then. Like, why?
I think
why would he?
80,000 pages keeps us busy while there are other things going on. So I just wanted to mention that, of course, Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas in 1963. So. And of course, Trump says he's disappointed all of this after actually touring the Kennedy Center. He said the building is in tremendous disrepair, vowing to fix it up. The facility claims it's deteriorated under bad management. And of course, the Kennedy Center underwent a $250 million expansion project back in 2019. And Trump didn't go into detail about his future plans of renovating the venue, but this comes after his first visit to the venue after naming himself chairman and firing multiple members of the Performing Arts Institution's board last month. But if I can just plug something real quick, because I think all is not lost on the Kennedy Center. I know a lot of people have stepped down from their board. I believe Issa Rae and there's other producers who have been involved, but all is not lost on the Kennedy Center, okay? A multifaceted artist and DC native, Nucci, he's hosting his Front Porch Live series at the concert venue for one night only, April 4th. This is one of those if you know type deals. Nucci is a big deal in the DMV, and of course, go-go bands and local artists have been on the Front Porch, but also Snoop, Selena Johnson, Robin Thicke, The Lox, Big Daddy Kane, even Ruben Studdard has graced the Front Porch. So shout out to the homie Nucci. And yeah, all is not completely lost, so y'all can still support some stuff.
Ruben was on the porch?
Yes, he was.
When he was big?
Ruben.
He's still big?
I mean, he's not as big as he used to be.
I ain't seen Ruben in a minute. Ruben, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Exactly. Tweet has been on the Front Porch. So I'm just saying, this, like I said, this is a DMV. If you know type thing. And if you don't, go search Front Porch.
Oh, no. It's gotten its wings. It's definitely started taking off. So, no, it's like the new little tiny desk. It's just like a smaller version. But it's coming up, though.
I think I just saw Snoop on that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Baltimore Snoop? Oh, Snoop Dogg.
No, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, the rapper Snoop.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so, just putting that out there that, you got these up-and-coming artists
Snoop
to be
from Baltimore
on.
always be on the porch.
No, for real. We call it the front. No, but...
Bitch, yo.
But yeah, that's a big deal for, artists like that to be performing and taking something like that to the Kennedy Center platform. So, let's not just be all mad and up in arms about everything. It's still a little fun to be had.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to get too much into that. Let me just go ahead and digress. That's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media for more news coverage. Follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit BINnews.com. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Morgan.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.